trying to evolve.
Maui's free speech station. KAKU 88.5 FM, Kahului, Maui. The voice of Maui.
Good morning. It's Monday at 11 a.m. I'm Jason Schwartz. Welcome to the Neutral Zone. The Neutral Zone, with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank No Ka'oi Motors Maui Car Rentals for their support. Located at 181 Dairy Road across from the fire station in Kahului, they've served the Maui community for more than 30 years with services in used cars and automobile rentals. Find them online at mauicarrentals.net or at 877-3300. The Neutral Zone is heard Mondays live at 11 a.m. and again on Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM. Boy, that guy sounds a lot like me. I don't know how that happened. Oh, I guess. No Ka'oi Motors, just down the street here from our studios. They're at 181 Dairy Road. I've known them for years. I've, in fact, had a couple of cars that I bought from there and friends as well. They're nice people. Welcome to our show. It's Monday. We are almost in December 2018. And I'm not comfortable with this habit yet, but we'll see. I am here alone. We have a call-in number, 873-3435. If anyone's out there and calls, and they call a couple of times and don't get me, it's because I didn't see the flash of the phone. But anyway, we had a guest scheduled this morning, Councilwoman-Elect Tasha Kama, but she called this morning with a family emergency. We hope everything is okay there. Appointment for someone in the family with a doctor. Well, that takes priority. But it just means that you have to call in and be part of our show, 873-3435, or listen to me, or listen to music. I kind of like the idea of listening to music. I have ideas, but when I'm sitting here alone, I can tend to ramble. And so I may talk about a few things. But this weekend, I just went to see a show at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. It was Maui Choral Arts did a Peace on Earth concert. It was beautiful. I think there were 85 people. You should go to the next one, too. The next one's coming in the spring. These guys get together. It's now been a few years running, and they do beautiful choral singing. It's really something special. You should check it out. Also, this weekend at Mulligan's, there was a salute to friend Hendrix. Can you imagine Jimi Hendrix? I can't even imagine Jimi Hendrix at 73 or 76 years old. But I guess he'd be the same. He might have silver hair. He might be silver haze instead of purple. But anyway, he had purple haze and purple rain. Well, that was our friend Prince. I see. Okay. Anyway, Tasha Kama was supposed to be our guest, and we were going to be talking about things that could be over the horizon and share ideas and programs that we think might be interesting. We'll do that in the future. Next week, I'm going to have Sam Small as my guest. Sam is the host of a show here on Maui called Maui Causes, here on Akaku TV, and also all over the net. Sam is a very passionate and active guy in our community, and I wanted his perspective on the election and also what's coming up. He's I want to say a watchdog. He's just a very aware and concerned citizen. I know there are many of you guys out there, and of course you can call 873-3435 and tell us what you're concerned about and tell us what you think is important that we discuss and look at. Rather than just go into subjects, I thought to start with some music today. I have taken out of the archives a few things that I thought were interesting. You know, I've sung songs over the years and written songs over the years, and I have a few friends here, you probably know them. A lot of musicians, but a couple of them have songs. And here's one. I thought this one, he didn't write this song, but I think it's public domain, so I'll start. It's from Lono. You'll hear what it is. What's that?
What?
Oh. We all know that song, and we think of it as the Star-Spangled Banner. Here comes a call, I think. Yeah, let's see if I can pick it up. The true test, let's see. Okay. Hello? Well, that didn't.
Are you there?
Hello, who's this?
My name is Donny.
Hi, Donny. How are you? Welcome to our show.
I'm doing really good, but I'm really sad that Tasha's not going to be there. I was hoping to call in while she was there.
Aha. Do you know her? You have a question that you wanted to direct to her?
Yeah, I'm actually really fond of her, and I'm really happy that she is now our council member January 1st of 2019. So my goal of calling was to make sure that all your audience is educated enough to know that next year is going to be the first time in the history of Maui, and I like to have somebody do some research to find out how far back it goes, that the candidates that are running to run our government have not been bought and paid for by the corporations.
Well, that's an interesting...
And they didn't allow any campaign financing coming from any corporation.
May I ask a question? Only because we're here on radio, and that's an interesting thing that you say. I don't really think that. I'm thinking of it that we don't know whether bought and paid for. I don't know if people get money from corporations if they're bought and paid for. I think some of them say, I've heard them say, well, I can accept money for my campaign. They think that I'm a better candidate and that I'll give a decision better than my opponent, and they sort of walk away from it. So you think that if someone gets money that they're necessarily going to sway their vote? Obviously, it's a sensitive subject.
To answer your question, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, and I think that a lot of people are now getting more educated about the failures of not having campaign finance reform that should have happened a long time ago, where there's limits put on corporations from puppeting the council, or not the council, the candidates that are actually running for office. There's no limit to a corporation spending as much money as they feel that they need to spend to have a candidate cooperate with them. And so my thinking is exactly what you're saying. It is true, and this is the first time that in the existence of Maui that I'm aware of, I've been here 20 years, and I've been coming here since the 70s, that they can all say to themselves that you can look at their campaign finance records and see that corporations have not donated to the 5 that are now the majority in the council.
Well, it's interesting that you think that. I think everybody knows that. I don't know. Doesn't everybody? I mean, if there was one thing that we learned this election season, it was some of these guys had a lot of money coming from contributions. And like you say, it sure does seem that if money is received, especially large money, that when something's coming up, you're going to look doubly hard to see how you might support your supporter. But I'm thinking we're in a new age. I'm hoping, like you say, we're at the dawn of a council that is free of corporate input, at least openly.
I love your answer there. That's a perfect answer. And so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how long it goes and how far it goes.
It's going to be interesting because as I look at things, some of these issues that have been dealt with at the council level, the biggest challenge I've had is no transparency. When you see Mike White or Yuki or Hokama or any of these guys voting in a certain way, and we think, someone bought off their answer. And then if you speak to them closely, you say, well, that's because there was a problem in paragraph 3 and it was a really big issue. I wonder why we aren't more transparent. And I hope that's the biggest thing. I
love your answer. I love your thought. I think the most important thing to remember is that we are all deciding the fate of the future generations that will be coming after us. And if we don't all start thinking about that thought of the future of these generations that are going to be coming after us, then we're failing to do better today to make it better for people in the future. And if we're not thinking that way...
How old are you now? I'm just curious.
I just turned 60.
60. Okay, well, I'm older than you, as I was going to say.
But not much. I can already tell.
I'm 60... Where am I? Almost 68 in April.
Okay.
And in our lifetime, I'm including you, we have seen... We were the hippies, and then the dippies, and then the yippies, and I don't know where now, skippies. We're at a point where the world has so shifted and things are so different. Everyone's got an opinion. They stick it everywhere. You look on Facebook, you hear opinions. Everyone's got opinions. We don't know who's talking, whether they're just wildly stating it with nothing to back it up or whether they are, you know what I mean? So it's a strange time. But the one thing that we can all agree on is our future is better if we stay involved. I'm really glad that you called. How did you happen to hear about the show by chance?
Well, I'll give you a little history of Donny. That I'm not even going to give my last name because I'm not doing this for my name recognition. But okay. I'm actually, I'm pretty smart. I've been around the block. I had a very famous cousin that allowed you and me to have the technology with computers to be able to do things different than the past generations before us because we didn't have the technology. My cousin Max actually was the founder of Intel. So he provided Microsoft with a way to perform their software with the hardware. And I think that was just so eloquent that it was available to be done in my our lifetime. And so I don't think that we're thinking back of how we corresponded with each other, how we could change the world before we had this technology, because it was really difficult.
My concern, I don't mean to be cutting you up, but my concern with that in this technology race that we're now in, a lot of the things like, it may seem a little funny, but used to be in music before synthesizer. I'm talking about all this technology jump. Now we can all communicate in the way you say, and that's better. But I don't know how many voices, no matter how loud and no matter how many, know what they're talking about. And we can see in national politics, which I try to stay out of, but I can talk about generally, a lot of things are said that are just absolutely not true. And they become gospel to a certain crowd that suddenly is very loud and it gets confusing. You don't know where you're going with things. I think that I don't know how many people read books anymore. I don't know how many.
And I kind of agree with your thought, but I also, I'll bring Tasha back into this equation.
Sure.
I've had lots of conversations with Tasha Kama, and I don't know how to say this more bluntly.
Go ahead.
But we have a documentary that's about to come out, and it was shown at the Maui Film Festival, and it was produced by, of all people, James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, and he made a documentary, and I don't know if you've heard about it or seen it or whatever, but the name of the documentary is Poisoning Paradise. And I really, I look at Brother Is. I don't know if you ever heard the song in 78. Have you ever heard that song by Brother Is?
Absolutely. What would they feel if they came back looking now? You bet.
Yes, and so I look at having the chance to have an Alika Atai, which I'm very fond of, by the way.
Sure.
And to have a Tasha Kama, and to have a Keani Rawlings, and to have a Shane Sanansi, and I look at these people and I go, you guys are the future. You guys are the ones that are finally going to be in charge of the destiny of our little island called Maui, which includes Molokai, which the past politicians have allowed the expansion of biotech, and I think that is going to be, if it isn't already our biggest failure, it is the biggest failure that we all have to discuss, because a corporation that just bought Monsanto, if everybody wants to start doing some research on Bayer, they call it, Bayer, who just bought Monsanto for $66 billion, that, I look at the Hawaiian people now that are coming up into offices that are representing the people's voices, and I'm saying, you know what, this is our only chance that we have.
Well,
this is our last chance.
Well, although I agree with the words of what I really do. I feel very aligned with what you've said. But the thing I'm concerned about, and I hope you can appreciate this, is that what you are speaking about in this way gets people afraid. And in fact, we're now in a good position, so I want to put it out. I mean, they're afraid of what's been happening. And we are now in a time that I want to encourage, even in our words, that we all work together. Did you happen to be at the VFW a few days after the election on a Saturday night when they had a unity gathering?
Absolutely. I'm totally involved in behind the scenes of this whole thing, because I know what Monsanto has done in other communities in the world, and I know how they've left the devastation everywhere they've gone.
I'm bringing this up specifically. I mean, I know and you know, it's, what do they say? We're preaching to the choir. Because at that event, you saw that there were people there. I mean, when you saw Yuki Lei Sugimura and Alice Lee standing next to Tasha Kama, and there was no Ricky Hakama, but it was
Ricky wasn't there. He was the only one that didn't show up.
So it was a terrific thing, and we wonder, so how does that look like on the next week or the next week? I spoke to someone this morning, for example, that said, well, he's running his own campaign to try to get resumes because one of his friends has been interviewed by our new coming mayor, and he feels that the list of candidates that this guy, the mayor, is looking at isn't broad enough and not finding qualified enough people to take certain things. I asked him, how do you know about that? Because one of his friends was interviewed. But I think somehow that's why maybe this show exists. We got to structure it in a way. Maybe it's got to be longer with call-ins with guests. But I want transparency. I want, when these things are going on in council, to be able to talk about these things. There's no question what you say is right, but the live conversation hopefully will get past the fear that's created. Like when I hear the word Monsanto, I invited them to the show and I talked PR people through letters.
Let me say this while you're saying you're scared. The minute you say the word Monsanto, I'm scared.
Well,
and everybody should be scared because they're using deadly poisons to grow food. And if anybody doesn't realize how wrong that is for our environment and our future of the generations going to come after us, they have to get educated.
Well, let me give you an update, okay? And believe me, I'm agreeing with you. My view of Monsanto is not a great one. And
Okay,
Bayer,
good.
okay, just no. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine.
Well, it's not Monsanto anymore. It's Bayer, and Bayer's worse than Monsanto.
No,
I'm
but
sorry
again, here I am and you are as public, and you started by saying how great it is because we're on the dawn of a 5-4 thing where people aren't getting money from corporations. No, valid point. Now, here I am, my thinking, for example. You know what my approach about Monsanto is? And I know
I'd
this
love
is
to hear
something new you haven't heard. There's something, I don't know if you've ever heard of HHO. Some call it Brown's gas. Have you ever heard of that? Hydrogen?
No, I've never heard anything about what you're saying.
In our world, there's solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. So you heat solid, you get liquid. Heat liquid, you get gas. You put electricity in gas, you get plasma. 99% of the universe is plasma. Fire is plasma. Well, point is, that's hydrogen. HHO in that plasma state, that hydrogen in that plasma state, is able to be sprayed on plants in water. It's water. And it has microbacteria going away. It creates an environment where you don't need pesticide. Wow. And they've also found that because the critters go away, things grow better. So it's like there are natural solutions, and that's what this show's about. This neutral zone will be introducing things to say, let's go at the most important thing. You just mentioned it. I know that too. If you were to look at my website, you'd get more data about this. I'm going to have a guy that invented a machine that's portable that can deliver this, not only to us in our bodies. Over 170 diseases have been helped by this HHO and hydrogen. You know, the world knows it. Japan knows it. China knows it. U.S. is slow. Monsanto, I thought, well, how do we beat them? We beat them by getting a natural solution. And this guy that created this is here on Maui. So, very interesting truth that, you know, I don't know how without money. I mean, you just said it. How much? $66 billion they bought it for? That's unbelievable. It must be a lot of stock. But
the largest cash transaction for a U.S. corporation in U.S. history, which is how many years is that?
20, 30.
That's ever happened for that amount of money. And no stock was traded. This was a cash transaction, and nobody's talking about the failures of that part. And
well,
so,
how come it was approved so easily?
What was that?
Well, did it have to be approved by anyone?
It went through the, I forgot the technical name of the U.S. Rights of allowing it to happen, but I'm going to change the subject just a little bit. Alika Tai, I know you haven't mentioned too much about him, but I feel like he has a great idea about adding to what you're saying. There's a Korean natural farming. It's a fermenting way of growing food from fermented food that is the cure. I mean, it's been proven the abundance of food that you can grow by allowing the past growth of food to now ferment, to be able to get all these non-poisons, non-killing the environment products that can help farmers grow.
So
and it's unbelievable.
So look at that.
The natural, Korean
well, we've now, just in our little conversation, there's more than one solution. We have to find a way to get people educated and somehow empower them. Because I can know that, you can know that, Alika can know that. He was even on council. So what does that do? You know, how do we put this in some way where we, the public, can somehow move forward on something and make a change, and the government can help us? Them regulating isn't going to stop it. It's going to have to be us, isn't it?
Well, the problem that we have here in Maui is that, I've been around since the 2014 law that we said to Monsanto, stop producing GMOs in Maui County, which includes Molokai, which we can never forget. The largest employer on an island in Hawaii is Monsanto or Bayer on Molokai.
Well,
so let me finish. If you're a Hawaiian person or a Hawaiian family, you have two choices. You either work for Monsanto or you have to move off the island.
Well, again, I'm only stopping you because I really have to stop you. Only because what you're saying, it may be true, but that's not the only truth. I know people that are there that refused to work for Monsanto, and they're struggling. In fact, I know someone that's homeless there, but I also know others that aren't homeless. The farming community isn't stuck. There are things coming. That's why we're talking about what you talked about and what I'm talking about. We're going to jump to a commercial in about a minute, so we may. But I welcome speaking more to you, both here on air. I want to, if you want to stay on, we can. I'm just thinking that the kind of things we're talking about, you put it out as fact, and I'm trying to get our public to say, yes, there are problems out there. We identify them, and now let's look at solutions that we can do.
You sound like Tasha Kama when I have conversations with her. I love it.
The only reason that you didn't see my name on the ballot is because I called Al Perez from Maui tomorrow.
I know Al, yes.
And I said, Al, I want to run against Alan Arakawa. And he said, did you know Tasha's running? And I met Tasha, and we met, and I decided, after speaking with her, that I didn't want to create any difficulty or distance between us or confuse the public, so I backed away.
Well, I love that thought and that answer, yes.
If you'll hang on, I'm going to go to a commercial thing for a couple of minutes, and then we can pick up. You patient to hang on a minute?
Yes, I'm absolutely. We have a weird connection where I'm not really hearing you that clearly. I don't know, there's a lot of static.
Well, you might want to listen over the radio or on TuneIn. I've got to go to the commercial here in a second.
Sure.
Thank you, Daniel. Hang on, I'm going to put you on silent for a second.
Donny.
Oh, Donny, excuse me. Okay. The Neutral Zone with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank Noko'oi Motors Maui Car Rentals for their support. Located at 181 Dairy Road across from the fire station in Kahului, they've served the Maui community for more than 30 years with services in used cars and automobile rentals. Find them online at mauicarrentals.net or at 877-3300. The Neutral Zone is heard Mondays live at 11 a.m. and again on Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM.
So this is Christmas.
I'm Fletcher Tovar.
And I'm Tom Blackburn Rodriguez.
Please join us on Monday night, December 10th, at the historic EO Theater for a free, family-friendly, one-night-only, oh no, Christmas celebration.
The Maui On Stage program begins at 6:30 with doors opening at 6:15 and will consist of Christmas songs performed by Maui Madrigal, a reading of Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory performed by Paul James Brown, followed by Rick Schneiderman with his outstanding presentation of the Dylan Thomas poem A Child's Christmas in Wales.
Before the show, the Friends of the Children's Justice Center will be collecting unwrapped Christmas toys for older children who have been victims of abuse.
Your unwrapped toy donation is gratefully accepted but not required for admission to the EO Theater on Monday night, December 10th. Doors open at 6:15. Open seating, no tickets or reservation required.
Produced by the Maui Breakfast Club and Tom Blackburn Rodriguez and Associates.
What will it take to get humans back into space? One man says he knows what's key, and it's a rock-solid argument.
So if we're going to stay in space and thrive there, then we need to live off the land. And for that, we will need resources such as water, which is abundant in certain types of asteroids.
Why, orbiting rocks are important to both our future and our past on the next Big Picture Science.
Are you there?
Hi, I'm back. This is Jason Schwartz on the Neutral Zone. I have Donny on the line. Donny, have we met?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking after the 2014 vote, we were at Akaku. Were you there that time?
I was, yes.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the time I met you. I know your name's familiar, though. So.
Did you stay to the end on that Unity night there after the election?
At Akaku?
No, at the VFW.
VFW, yeah. I actually took pictures of everybody inside, and I posted them on Facebook, so yeah.
Did you see the guy singing the last song? Maybe you didn't. A little help from my friends with Louise Lambert and her crew up there.
I love the songs, the music, the ambiance.
Well, the last singer, that was me.
Oh, I think I kind of heard it. I think I might have.
Well, Kelly King said to me, I didn't know you could sing. That's what Shane said. You're the guy that can sing. I have confused people on Maui a long time because, I used to think that it was my level of responsibility for technology that stopped me from going into the music business, believe it or not, in 1988. And I keep thinking, it's not too late. Maybe you need to be a celebrity to get someone to listen to you, But these technologies and stuff, it's very important. I want to bring out the concept and make it real. That together, after the election, I don't think of Alice Lee or Yuki Sugimura as anything other than part of a new and renewed effort to make things right.
New shift on Maui. I love that.
And
that's why Tasha is so enjoyable to talk to, because she really is convinced that you're right on what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so
we sat, that's what I said, before the election, way before primaries. I was going to run for mayor because I have concepts that are mayor, not necessarily council. Maybe they all should work together, because if we're transparent, who cares who's sitting in a seat? Who cares who's elected or not? If we do this all openly, we're going to find out and do the right thing. I'm convinced of that. And it sounds like you're convinced of that.
Well, I've been coming here since I was granted the opportunity to work for the U.S. government, got guaranteed living in Hawaii for 3 years in the 70s, and got guaranteed my job and 3 years of college paid for by the U.S. government, and that was the Army. And there was no war, and it was just a great time to be from 75 to 78 on Oahu. I lived in North Shore because I was paid separate housing allowance and separate rations. So I was able to live the good life in the 70s at 17 and really appreciate the Hawaii that it was in the 70s, that so many things have changed since then. That I think it's finally the time that people, instead of the developers, are now in charge of the destiny of our little island.
And I hope that we are still good stewards and stay involved, because I think that the best of intentions can run aground if the data they get is not there. So there are people.
Well, we have to learn from our past, and that's what you're hopefully also saying. I'm kind of hearing.
Yes,
we have to.
And not only that, but I think that I always say we don't want to throw away tradition and things in the past that were right. Why not marry them with new technologies and create something better than ever? I mean, that's the direction I want to see. Have you ever looked at the website for the Maui Arts and Music Association?
No.
Right.
The MAC you're talking about, yeah. No,
no,
I haven't.
I spoke to someone this morning. I was talking to them about this HHO thing, and they looked it up online. They said, Maui Arts and Music Association, Mama, and people aligned in positive action. Papa, is that you? And I said, yes, it's me. Since 1991, no surprise, I had a 501c3 nonprofit with chartered plan to promote visual and healing arts and to educate people about renewable energy and environmental solutions so that we might create a self-sustainability using Maui as a global example place and get people here.
I'm a little bit confused. So we got the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, which is the MAC, and now you're saying this is different.
Well, Maui Arts and Cultural Center, besides their philosophies, they're a building, and they're a for-profit building. The Maui Arts and Music Association was created with a specific mission. If you go to that website,
I'm going to it right now while we're talking.
You'll see the mission statement there, and it's even there's sound on it. Only reason I know is because that's me. It's like if you don't have money How do you get your voice out? If you're a candidate and you don't have money, how do you get your voice out? So that's why I say, when we have these new people coming in, fresh, exciting, are they being given enough information? Are they being openly given information so that they can make an intelligent decision, or they didn't have enough money to be able to do this and that and get the public to know? I've been talking about this stuff for 27 years.
Well, there's two things that will save the destiny of mankind, and one of them is love, and the other one is music, I think.
And I think our greatest leaders are our icons in music and the arts and movies. We see all that going on. But the ones that we can use that power of the money we can raise and the consciousness we can raise to create solutions so that we can do that solution here. I'm hoping that this new environment on council and mayor, I want to give a nod to Mike Victorino to have him understand that he's inclusive in this. I hope that we can make him the greatest.
You keep bringing up that we at the VFW meeting how they all showed up, and I know, and you know deep down, that there was a reason for them to all come to our meetings of the minds and say, you know what, we want to be part of everybody's, future.
Wasn't that
and
great?
I really agree with you. I really hope that that we can make the changes that are needed by the collaboration that's needed right now, because if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? And so that's why I've been behind the scenes of this whole thing, knowing that this is the time. I mean, we have the momentum and the motivation because of what we see going on.
You're 100% right. And you know what I hear in you? And I say this with full respect. Your private sector, like me. I believe we are the ones in the private sector to be able to make this happen. If I have a nonprofit and we can raise money and supplement development of important technologies that prove that these things that you're talking about are solutions, bye-bye Monsanto as a choice here, because we have the will. But I don't want to ask the government to legislate, right, specifically against something. We want the public to be educated and really push these ideas out because they don't make sense. You're right. Molokai has some of the worst health records on the planet, or at least in the United States. And Monsanto, or Bayer, is right in the center of it for years. And that's why I keep thinking we're talking to the choir. I think everybody knows it now,
No, I don't like saying that, because so many people I educate now and they don't know, especially, I have a lot of association with a lot of tourists and a lot of smart, articulate, influential people come here to Maui and they have no clue.
So now, here we are. Watch this. Maui Arts and Music Association. What if Steven Tyler, Mick Fleetwood, Willie Kay, Willie Nelson, Louise Lambert, Gina Martinelli, Vince Esquire, I'm mentioning local people and national, all together, music, put on shows, we raise money because we want to make things better. Then those people will buy this product.
I secondly love your idea, and it's unbelievable that your idea has been my idea. I actually met Mick Fleetwood one night, and I had a conversation with him, and he kind of, this is his thought. His thought was that he would love to do something to help us, but he also wants other people like Steven Tyler and everybody else that can help. So it's really, to me, the biggest reason that I'm behind all this is because I want music to save our world, like you do. It sounds like, and
I do.
And the camaraderie of enjoying our lives together, because our lives are fleeting. I mean, we're here for 80 years and we're gone. And if we can't make this place better while we're here, why are we here? And that's the question.
You and I are obviously thinking along the same line. Many times I've found that people that don't agree with us, what drives it is economics. And sadly, that's if you look at my website there, Maui Arts and Music Association, the other component of PAPA, People Aligned in Positive Action, is not government. It's come up with an idea like we're going to do on this show and talk publicly and get people like you and I together that are coming together because we see that we have common vision and we see there's a matrix. And if we have this vision
we
of matrix...
need to put our money, is what I'm hearing from you. We need to put our money where our mouth is.
In private
so
sector.
you'll hear about me. I actually wrote a check that I'm not rich in any way sense, but I wrote a check in 2016.
Right.
And I said to Alika Atai, I said, you have three things. If I'm going to write you a check, you have three things to accomplish. You need to win. You need to, run for office. You need to win. And guess what else I said to him? You need to pay me back. And I think that is the investing that we all need to start doing, and putting our money where our mouth is not happening here on this island. I'm not seeing rich, articulate people that come here once a year and want to donate to our cause.
Well,
the reason is because we're not asking them to.
But now, I don't mean to go back to my thing. Why am I talking about promoting art, music, and culture of these islands and educating people about environmental solutions to be a self-sustainability model? Because I agree with you. So, we can talk to Mick Fleetwood again, and we can talk to Willie Nelson and Christopherson. It's like, that's what I want to, is make public what we want to do, so that people will come out of the woodwork and say, I can talk to Willie. Let me get you in touch with him. Oh, Fleetwood? Honestly, I want to make it so that the ideas we have are public. If there's a Maui News or a paper like Maui Times or any of these, they place some things there that they think are important, but also what pays their bills. And we're a show, we're hopefully a neutral zone. We can talk about things and move them forward in a way that nobody else can do. I hope to be able to get people interested in this idea of promoting our art and music and cultures of these islands.
Well, I'd like to see Mr. Victorino. The conversation I had with him really shed some light on some things that I was kind of concerned about, and he kind of made me feel like there's a chance. So we're going to see, with the council, January 1st with the mayor, and we're going to see clearly the direction that we all hope we can go. And if we don't start to see it clearly, that we're all in our minds, we're saying we're going down the right road, the destination is clear, and we're all going down the right road together, I think we can really unbelievably make Maui County the best county in the United States of America, which I feel it should already be.
Well, everything you just said, I'm saying yes. Now listen to this extra piece, and why I want to talk to Kelly King and Victorino and Tasha and Shane Sinensi and Alice and Sugu, because if they give an endorsement and say, oh yes, we like your idea, Jason, we'll be part of it. Now I go out and get sponsors. I have a central yes. That's how the government can help us in the private sector.
You're right.
That's the piece that I've been missing, because I can't get into Seattle and Arakawa about anything. I remember when Kimo Apano was mayor, someone came to me and told me a story I loved. They said, they went to Kimo and they said, what about Jason Schwartz for that role? And the response was, we like Jason, but he's not a company man. That means I don't salute. I'm not a lockstep like you said.
I love it.
A corporate guy.
You're a lot like me, Jason. I'm glad we're talking.
Here we are years later. I need people like you to hear, like, this guy Jason has some ideas. Look at the website, check out what's up, get in touch with me, because this effort will come together as people like you and I start aligning. That's why it's called Mama and Papa. People aligned in positive action can basically move an idea forward. Alika is no less powerful because he's not on council. He's in the private sector. He is now a public figure that has the power to do good from a private
I think there's going to be a lot of light shed on a lot of the failures that we've had since he was only there for 2 years, but he was on the inside, and I think he can really dissect the truth.
Well, you know who's also really a gigantic force, and that's Trinette Furtado. She really was, I think, the engine that kept all that stuff going on with Alika. He really got the benefit of a tremendous staff. No matter what was said of Brian Bartolini, he obviously delivered for Olika in a way that now in the private sector, hopefully, again, we have to talk on the how-to. But when we get endorsements from stars to be involved, then I can get sponsors, then we can start programs, because nothing happens without the fuel. And sadly,
there's not another Maui, and we got to remember that.
I remembered it 25 years
Maui.
ago. Here we are. We want 2020 vision in 2020 and 2019, but it's time for us to see more clearly. We're taking and putting on the spectacles. We should all be praising God that we have seen this shift in the council and in the mayor. I know I want to make Mike Victorino the best mayor that Maui has ever had.
He can definitely be that one.
And
I mean,
I want the council to be
we're
the
saying
same.
right now that we're proud of him. In 4 years, we look back and say, wow, we are proud of this guy, because why would you ever think that anybody has a job for 4 years that you shouldn't be proud of? And, you know, especially when he was voted by the constituents.
Well, I want to see that. I really believe that the private sector is where the action's going to be. For example, if you want to build housing, if you talk to politicians now, oh, well, we have two things in the works. The North Kihei, Kawahine, we got 200 affordable units, and there are 165 affordable units. They just broke ground in Kaului, and it's going to be 2020. We're going to have 165 and 200 if they're all affordable. What are we talking about? That's nothing. Yeah, I can find 165 seniors right now that could fill that place.
Jason, how about if I told you, I want to add this to affordable housing. We allowed, with the people that were in charge of Maui, to allow 600 homes in Kihei to be built next door to Monsanto chemical spraying fields, and that's affordable housing. So the way I look at it is, how can we convince the people to know how wrong that is? I mean, it's almost like we're living in a slave camp.
All we can do, that's why I say the private sector. You know, we talked about the dollars thing, about we are private dollars going to this one or that one. I don't know any other way. We're not in, you know, I want to say we're not Nazi Germany. Sorry, Mr. Trump, stop it. But I really think that we can solve it in the private sector with our dollars and putting together. What if I wanted to go to Goodfellow and say, look, you have a bank. What about, we know that you're going to get the job to do the land moving. What if we can create projects where you'll be partner in this, and so you'll participate? They already have a bank. They can show these projects to be financially sensible. We can also get involved. Builders, conglomeration of them. We can start doing things in a different way. And I just believer that when we do that, then the government says, we want to help you. Here's what we're going to do to help your...
Right, and we know the failures. If we don't start feeding our local population, we're going to have rebellion here. And that's another failure that we're not even talking about.
Well, when people go to Costco, that's where you talk to tourists. They go to Costco and the shelves are empty. Why? Because there was a fire in California. Food independence is so critical, and we're not thinking about it.
I want to get this out to your radio people that are listening right now. And this is such a failure that has happened that nobody really knows clearly that this is the problem and that we need to address it immediately, and that is the sustainability of our islands.
Oh, I've been talking about it forever. That's what I'm talking about. If we get star power, okay, go ahead.
Well, what we have is we've had an A and B, an Alexander and Baldwin, that has run amok. They've grown a monocrop for how many years? Not 20, 30, 40, 60 years. 145 years they've grown a monocrop on Maui. So that is the most important thing that I think I want to address right now on this conversation is that.
Go ahead.
So the monocropping is where our failure is. I've spoken to a lot of employees that have worked for A&B over the years, a lot of families.
You mean
and
HCNS,
I asked them
right?
the question, I go, why didn't A&B ever allow you as employees of the corporation to have plots of land that you can now start to grow food to make us sustainable? And you know what their answer was? Every time there's a company meeting that we went to, we would bring that up, we would address it, and they would say, yeah, we're gonna allow you to do it in the future, and they never have allowed it.
Let me share with you. When I got here in '88, I went to a meeting soon thereafter. Richard Cameron was the head of HC&S, not the Richard Cameron that we know from Kapalua land, a different Richard Cameron. And he brought up that it was brought up that 5,000 acres of land could grow enough food to take care of all the people of Maui. Why aren't you doing it? And he said, because it doesn't make economic sense. I like to factor in the what's it going to cost if we don't thing. That's the big issue. I think.
Well, how about if I told you I want to answer your question blatantly? And the reason that A&B would never allow people to grow the food to be sustainable here on Maui is, and everybody doesn't know this, and I hope that everybody who's listening will get a clue that this is our failure, and we've allowed it. They own Matson Shipping Company.
Notice I knew that. So here we go. Again, no matter what we say, we're not going in and saying, okay, let's break up the old gang. We don't have any money and power to do that. But we do have power in our spending and purchasing power. I don't mean to keep saying, you're educating our public, but it's to me, I don't really want to get to a point where we have people angry but not feeling empowered. So I'm trying to get past that stuff.
Well, I think what we need to do is educate them, and that's what I'm trying to do. And empowering them is with education. And so the failure is that we allow them to grow a monocrop, give people jobs, but we didn't allow them to ever grow food to be sustainable because they own the ships that would bring the food that they would make a profit all the way from the mainland. And that is bluntly to the point. That is the truth, the honest truth.
No, and I agree. I mean, from what I know, HC&S, A&B, Matson, all the same deal, and how it's grown into separate deals. Here we are now. So I say we have a fresh new year coming. We have a fresh new council coming. You've now heard my idea, which is an old idea, but it's now. And so we can do things in the private sector. That's why I'm saying it this way. I want all our listeners, you included, but maybe as one of the leaders in getting people to see this stuff. We have to align in positive action because the result is a self-sustainable Maui that we live in. You're talking the same language.
Here's my idea. I got to throw it at you. My idea is to do this on Molokai. I think that we need a Kula Ag Park on Molokai.
I'm stopping you. I have to stop you because, that's the kind of thing we can have discussion in another venue. But if you go to Molokai and you say that and you're not from Molokai, the first thing you're going to hear, and maybe the second, third, and fourth is, who the heck are you? Get out of here, Howley. Leave us. We want this.
No, I'm connected more than you can understand. I guess.
I know.
I'm definitely behind Kiani. I'm definitely behind Walter Riddy. I'm definitely Molokai to me is my biggest sore. But if we can make Molokai healed and grow the food that they can become sustainable on their island, then we can learn from it. But if we don't do this, Jason, if we don't do this, Bear is going to expand on our island of Maui, and we're going to be another Molokai where the largest employer is Bear, and everybody loves and respects them because they have a job and they have income. And we're forgetting about the failures of allowing a corporation to run amok by giving people jobs for no other reason than giving them a job, and that's the reality of A&B. So I did research just recently. There's a Grove Farm. Have you ever heard of them on Kauai?
No. When I'm looking at the clock, I keep realizing you're talking about subjects that we really need more time. It's not that we can't discuss.
I know.
But
I think that just to get it out there in the universe.
Well, yeah, I want to thank you. I want to please do respond either on the Facebook page or something, because I think we should stay in touch. I think
we'll go to lunch together. I'll be calling you back, and we'll do lunch in town.
Time Magazine. I want you to see this free so that you guys get on the story and talk to Donny. There are lots of stories that can be out there in the press, and there's lots of things we can do, but I'm still a strong believer in what I said. I want to get the county to endorse this idea and let me go and get sponsors with them being clear on what we're doing and get people aware. Music and art can be telling the world about our thing here. People can buy music and art from all around the world and support this, and when they come to Maui, they'll see more places there's music. There'll be
And
more art,
we need to
and it's all
we need
going
to
to
add
make.
the Hawaiian influence.
Oh,
and
there's
that's really important.
No question. Again, if you read that website, look at the bottom of the first page and you see my link to my friend Lono. We agree. There's no question. There's a lot. If we don't honor our host culture, then we're making a mistake. It may be the kingdom of Hawaii before we blink twice, but our ideas make sense no matter if it's the kingdom of Hawaii, the United States, because good and powerful things to help people is what we are about. I'm very glad you called. I don't mean to cut you off. I ramble a lot, but you can hear I'm constantly trying to go back to unity. If I were going to go to Monsanto, I would go to Monsanto and show them what's up. And then, again, here's a controversial thing. Money doesn't have a name on it. If we can get money and publicly get it and use it to do good, powerful, positive, self-sustaining things, so it'll be good PR for Monsanto, but we'll be living and showing the world what they can do. You know, if someone wants to make money, let them make money, but do it our way. Why can't we use money to create good things? And that's all I'm saying. And that's private sector. There's not enough money in the government.
Well, look what's in front of us in 2019. I mean,
we have less than a minute
destiny
total.
of Maui is in our hands.
That's
and
right.
If we can all stick together.
If we all stick together and publicly come out and put our anger aside and talk on things like humans, like we did on that Unity night, the show's going to end soon, so I'm going to have to let you go, Donny.
Okay.
Let's
Fantastic.
speak again. I gave you a lot of time today, but it was a good time. I'm glad that you had an opportunity
Jason,
to
it's
share.
been a pleasure, and I'll end this with there's not another Maui.
That's
and
right.
all
I'm with you. Have a good day,
All right.
my friend. Aloha.
All right. Aloha.
Well, everyone, the Neutral Zone is over. It has been a pleasure to be here with you. Please come next week and join us again. Next week we have Sam Small, and Sam's going to be here, and we're going to look at what's going on, the Neutral Zone.
Konnichiwa!
I'm Arrhythmia Sweet.
I'm Matt Angst, host